And welcome all. Markos Moulitsas, let me start with you out in Las Vegas. You've been hosting a convention of liberal bloggers and political activists. What do you think your convention has achieved?
Well, you know, there's this perception of bloggers as being these antisocial people typing away at keyboards in their parents' basement. And I think what we've seen is that actually the people who read these blogs are a real cross-section of the Democratic Party, a real cross-section of America. We have all age groups represented. We have people that are blue-collar, white-collar. And at the end of the day, no matter how much they may love to be online and use the blogs to find each other, they crave that flesh and blood interaction, and that's what they're doing here today.
Do you think the blogosphere has become to liberal activists what talk radio is to conservative activists?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very apt analogy. The idea being that here finally we have a place where good, strong, progressive voices can get together and we can talk and we can motivate each other and we can organize and we can do and plan the kind of hard work that it takes to win elections. Republicans and conservatives learned this a while ago, decades ago. It's about time we learned that lesson as well.
What role do you believe blogosphere and the internet will play in the 2006 midterm elections, the 2008 presidential election?
I think the role is going to get bigger and bigger as the movement grows. I mean, we saw how powerful the movement was back in 2003 during the Howard Dean rise, and at the time the blog world was about a 20th of the size of what it is today. So it's going to be influential. Now, does that mean we can actually deliver an election? Probably not, but what we can do is we can generate the buzz, we can raise some money, and we can act as a rapid reaction force the way that conservative talk radio and conservative television like Fox News has done for so long.
Markos Moulitsas, it's also interesting that some of your fellow Democrats have made comments. Iowa Governor Tom Vilsack said that Democrats shouldn't be banging each other around. Marshall Whitman of the Democratic Leadership Council said this, and I'll read it for you and our viewers. Left-wing bloggers are an echo chamber that speaks to a hyper-partisan, very liberal slice of even the Democratic Party. As of yet, they have not produced any political results. Their most celebrated activity was the Dean 2004 presidential campaign. The last time I checked, there was not a President Dean. How do you respond to that?
You know, Byron York talks about there being a kind of a populist clash. And, you know, it's true in a lot of ways. You have people in D.C. that have these nice, cozy little realms of power, and they don't want to give them up. They don't want to realize that there's a lot of energy and intelligence and passion outside of Washington, D.C. D.C. is a bubble. These people have lost touch with real America. They think they know better than anybody else, while we're saying, look, the real action, the real excitement in the Democratic Party is happening in the states. And this isn't a leftist movement. The first person to agree to speak at this conference was the Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid, who is an anti-abortion, moderate to conservative Democrat. The second person, Governor Mark Warner of Virginia, who's a moderate, centrist governor of a red state. So these people aren't coming here because they're speaking to the far left of the Democratic Party. They're coming here because they realize that the blogosphere actually is the big tent of the Democratic Party. We have people on the left, the center, the right, and everything in between and up and down the party spectrum. This is what we are. We are a cross-section of the Democratic Party.
You didn't mention Senator Hillary Clinton. Is she a favorite amongst liberal bloggers?
Not really. Not really. Doesn't mean they hate her. You know, there's a difference. I mean, we're not necessarily Rush Limbaugh listeners and have it out for her. And I think most people in the netroots really appreciate Hillary Clinton as a senator. She actually has voted the right way on pretty much everything except maybe the Iraq War. So the disdain that people have for Hillary a lot, it's not because she's too liberal, too conservative, too moderate, or anything else like that. This is the picture that a lot of people in Washington, D.C. want to paint. The reason Hillary Clinton isn't necessarily well-liked is because she's seen as part of the establishment, as part of the people that brought us the troubles that the Democratic Party is suffering today.
What about Al Gore?
Oh, there's a lot of love for Al Gore. I mean, if he were to enter the race, I think it would turn everything upside down. I just did a straw poll that showed about 68% of my readers, and I have several 100,000, about 68% of my readers would support Al Gore if he were to enter the fray. Whether he's going to or not, it's obviously a different story, but if he did get in, he'd have a great deal of support.
In fact, let me show our viewers a commercial that Ned Lamont, who was challenging Joe Lieberman in the August 8th Connecticut primary, let's take a look at that commercial.
As a small business guy, I can tell you, it's also key to keeping good-paying jobs here in this country. I understand that running for U.S. Senate can be tough on a family, but Annie and the kids agree.
We saw the commercial. We love it. We're all here to volunteer.
I'm Ned Lamont, and I approve this message.
Yes, so do we!
Now, the man waving that T-shirt is one and only you, Markos. Why are you so in favor of Ned Lamont against Joe Lieberman, who was Al Gore's choice to be the vice presidential Democratic nominee in 2000?
Well, we're looking at a lot of races, and a lot of them are primaries. I mean, Byron York kind of makes fun of the fact that we're going after Joe Lieberman, I guess, and not realizing that actually we played a fairly big role in Barack Obama's primary victory in 2004 in Illinois. I mean, one of the things that we're learning is that if we want the kind of Democrats that we think we need to have in Washington, D.C., not left, not right, but the kind of Democrats that don't undermine the party, that work on behalf, that maintain party unity, and work for a stronger Democratic Party, that we're going to have to use the primary process in order to start to help on that selection. Connecticut is no different. We have Joe Lieberman, who has consistently undermined Harry Reid and the Senate Democrats' efforts to remain unified on issue after issue. He is basically caught up in the fiction that things are still going fine in Iraq. And long term, I mean, even on the issue of Social Security, when Bush tried to privatize Social Security last year, Joe Lieberman was the last Democrat to fall in line. He consistently undermines the caucus, and we understand, just as the Republicans do, that a strong, unified party will be much better in opposition and much more likely to actually win and take over the Senate, and the House for that matter, than having a party that has its members constantly undermining it.
But John Kerry, John Edwards, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton all voted for the war in Iraq.
Right. That means that this is not an issue about Iraq. People try to paint it as, well, Joe Lieberman, the reason we're attacking him, the reason we're helping generate excitement for Ned Lamont is because of the Iraq war. It's one issue out of many. Hillary Clinton doesn't undermine the Democratic Party. Neither does John Kerry or Edwards or any of these people. They do not undermine the Democratic Party. That's the litmus test. It's a very easy litmus test for most Democrats to follow, because if they had that D next to their name, usually they're working for the benefit of the Democratic Party because they believe in the strong progressive principles that drive Democrats like myself and Kerry and Hillary Clinton. Joe Lieberman does not share those values. Hence, he's suffering a primary challenge. And you know what's interesting, too, is that he's angry. He feels as though Joe Lieberman is angry. He feels as though he has a God-given right to the seat when this is what democracy is all about. He needs to make his case to the people of Connecticut, and they will decide ultimately whether he deserves another 6 years.